First off, don't let this video title fool you. I still love social media. I just used to love it more. I still use social media. Over the past decade, it's done amazing things for my life. It's done amazing things for the world. I'm definitely grateful for all of that. It's opened up brand new ways of communicating, of connecting with people, of doing business, like a lot of good things. So casting judgment isn't the main point of this video. That's not what I'm here for. I just think there's a conversation to be had around what social media is, around what social media has become, and why social media just isn't cool anymore. I could also call this why social media fame isn't cool anymore. And I phrase it that way because, number one, I have reached an age where, what I think is cool has shifted in a lot of ways. And number two, social media itself has changed, shifted, evolved. It's done a lot of interesting things, a lot of weird things to society, to businesses, to governments. And again, I like social media. I wish there weren't any caveats to that, but we don't exactly live in a perfect world, do we? What do I mean by social media? Right now it's called TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, the primary digital platforms that people congregate on in order to search, in order to post pictures, videos, in order to share articles, to talk about their day, anything they want to do. Any website or app that has like a social or interactive element to it where you make a profile and maybe there's a comment section and maybe there's a customizable feed of information that you can scroll through every single day. Social media. Some people use it a lot, some people don't use it at all. I've posted a lot of things on the internet, on social media. You could say that I am in the online creator space. I've been to things like VidCon. So that gives me an insider's opinion or maybe a biased perspective, depending on how you think about that. Social media exists in like a hierarchical structure of need or utility. Each platform is separated by their different features and accessibility. Separated by the format of the content that's on the platform, is separated by the age and demographics of the people that use the platform. The average person who checks their email 12 times a day is probably older than the average person who checks TikTok 12 times a day. Social media on smartphones has only been around for like a decade. Social media as a modern concept has been around for 35 or so years. So the older you are, the less you probably care about the current state of social media. And you might not, have ever cared, or maybe you used to care about it, or, wherever you land. I am in my 20s and I run a YouTube channel, so I do care about social media a lot. I did have a MySpace account for a time in high school. I started using social media a little bit more when Facebook came out. It was, it was pretty cool. I did upload a couple of videos to YouTube back at that time, nothing really serious. I didn't have good cameras. I didn't have video editing skills. I was 16 or 17 at the time, like the middle of high school, and to me what social media was just a really cool way of connecting with people, online that you had met in real life, making groups, a cool way to share things that you had done. A lot of people were on the same page as me at the time. Social media was experiencing a boom. There was a lot of people flocking to social media. A lot of young people flocking to social media. Young people are usually the early adopters. This was right before smartphones really took off. And once they did, you see apps like Instagram and Tumblr exploding in popularity, and Facebook and Twitter developed their own mobile apps in order to exist in the app space, in the mobile social media space that had just been formed. Social media wasn't at home on your computer anymore. It was in your pocket at all times for you to use all the time. That's a big paradigm shift, a big cultural shift. I got my first iPhone, and I think the first thing that I uploaded to Instagram was like a picture of my Texas Roadhouse work uniform. Like it was brand new, so I was just playing around with it. Everybody was just playing around with this new way of creating, this new way of documenting your life from your phone, really candid, really casual, being able to scroll through and see what your friends were up to. Here's when things got serious. The phone, like the smartphones of the stores, just kept getting better and better, right? The cameras got better, the processing got better, the apps on them got sleeker, more streamlined, more optimized. I was in college at the time and I used Instagram a lot. I was constantly impressed by just all the effects you could pull off with just a phone screen, just some editing software, and how quickly the capabilities improved with each update. The implications were mind-blowing. Like this was monumental changes happening to society through these phones. I was looking at them. I mean, social media wasn't a new thing, but social media on smartphones with pictures that are in everybody's pocket, that's a quantum leap. Like I sat in my college dorm room thinking about like how this was going to change the future. Like I was like, what is going to happen? It's going to be insane. With these social media platforms, with just one device, like an individual can have so much more power than they used to. Like the amount of people that you can reach, the amount of accessibility that you can have with people is unlike anything ever seen before. Like, it's unlike anything any celebrity had ever had before, any government leader, anybody. And if the technology was going to just improve year over year over year, and we can just communicate with these devices in higher and higher fidelity, like, who knows what the world could turn into? This is what I was thinking. It was 2012. Facebook had just bought Instagram. People had smartphones with, decent processing power, decent cameras. Social media apps were juiced up enough just to be able to handle photos, not video yet. If you wanted to go to video, you would have to go to a YouTube app or like an outside browser or something like that. But I was pretty sure the video was going to be everywhere soon. It's not hard to predict that, but that's what I was seeing it coming. In 2013, video was introduced into the mobile social media space. It started with Vine and Snapchat. Vine was a 6-second looping video platform. Snapchat is a messaging platform. You can send photos and videos up to 10 seconds. In June of that year, Instagram got video on their platform, 15-second video. Once video happened, it was over. Video took over. It became the dominant form of communication on social media. And that makes sense. Like, video, short of live streaming, video is the ultimate portal into another space, into another world. It's like an infinite tapestry to create worlds, to tell stories, to share truths, to make remixes and parodies, to preserve worlds through documentation. Video does all of that. I've had friends who would prefer to FaceTime over text because video can be quicker and more, convenient. It's like the master platform, like the all-purpose feature, and it's only natural. Like, in hindsight, it makes perfect sense that video would completely take over the mobile space once smartphones were capable. It's hard to overstate just how much mobile video has shifted the world and how we see it. Like, it's had a huge impact on society, like on internet culture, on memes, all of that stuff. Like, it has launched careers, it has destroyed careers, it has created new careers for people to pursue. I got really big into Vine in 2013. I saw the appeal of it. I wanted to jump into a new mobile video space that had never been played around in before and just see what happened. I was curious. I've always been a pretty creative person, but I didn't really know that much about making videos at that time, except, of course, that making good videos was about time or good timing. A successful video I rationed was one that communicated a larger amount of information in a shorter amount of time, so more information dense than a competing video. Also, a successful video is going to grab the attention of the audience quicker than a competing video. It's also going to keep that attention for a longer amount of time than a competing video. So it's a lot about time. Videos on Vine were 6.5 seconds long, and being able to use my time well worked to my advantage as a creator. The better I could organize and fit every second of every video, every camera shot, the better the audience could be served by the medium and appreciate what I was doing. I treated the audience's time with respect. It was just 6 seconds of time, but they could just easily just scroll to another video and not watch mine if they thought that my video was a waste of their time. Vine videos didn't take that long to make, so that was really quick and easy and fun for the creators. They also didn't take that long to watch, so there wasn't a lot of pressure on the creators in order to, to make like a masterpiece every time. So you can experiment, you can play around. It's a lot more casual. That was great. What was good for the audience is that you could scroll through Vine and everything was small, bite-sized, 6 seconds at a time, so you weren't really wasting a lot of time on any one piece of content in particular. You could go through a lot of stuff and see everything you wanted to see, and you'd be done with Vine. I was a few months into using Vine, and I might have had like 15,000 followers or something like that, but I was seeing a lot of action around me. Like, there were just ordinary people becoming social media celebrities overnight, like that type of stuff you see on TikTok these days. I could tell that this social media video thing wasn't going away. Like, it was new, but it was definitely not going away. If anything, it was going to exponentially increase in popularity, and there was just going to be more videos by more people all the time, more influencers, more creators, more everything. If that happened, I wondered, like, who was gonna watch all the content? What happens if the videos become longer? Won't the attention dry up? I mean, like, you can only spend so much time on your phone a day. Everybody has like a limited number of hours to work with. So what happens when you have millions of people all competing for that attention pool, on top of everything else in your life that wants your attention or needs your attention? It was 2013, and I was thinking that if mobile video got any more popular than it already did, then there just wouldn't be enough hours in the day for people to keep up with everything. There'd just be too much content and no way to avoid getting lost in the sea of information. And then if it came to that, I was wondering how someone like myself would keep doing what I was doing, and swim on the top of that sea. How could I in the future still post content and expect people to see it or to find it or whatever? This was before social media had artificial intelligent algorithms. I didn't see those coming at the time. Outside of my world, social media companies were focusing on time also. They were focusing on screen time and watch time. Social media platforms run on advertising money. So that means that they attract users and attention, and then they resell that attention to advertisers. They run ads on that platform, and that's how they make their money. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's run by our eyeballs and our thumbs. The more time you spend on their platforms, the more money they can make off of reselling your attention. So everything they do centers itself around getting you on the platform and keeping you on the platform, keeping you scrolling, keeping you engaged. One more post, one more like, one more refresh. When you leave the app, there's push notifications that bring you back to the app when you've been gone away for too long or somebody says something to you. Our phone screens are just so addictive and demanding of our attention and time all of the time. We've gotten to a point where a digital detox is a mainstream concept. We've gotten to a point where, people establish no phone zones at certain events during certain occasions. Many people choose to delete social media apps off their phones altogether just because they're so distracting, and you're constantly bombarded by all the data. Social media companies compete with one another for our constant attention, and they take features from each other in order to, stay competitive and profitable. Snapchat came out with stories in the fall of 2013. That's where you put a bunch of pics and clips together to make a 24-hour story that disappears in a day. You got to watch it before it goes away. People on Snapchat liked it. It improved engagement. It was a hit on Snapchat. 3 years later, Instagram added the same feature to their platform. It was called Insta Stories, but same thing. 24 hours, post photos and videos that disappear after a while. They were hoping that it would have a similar effect to what it had on Snapchat, and they were correct. People started using it, it became popular, made users more engaged. A year after that, YouTube added a feature that was really, really similar to stories, except after disappearing in 24 hours, it was like a week. Then there's algorithms. Instagram made a lot of people upset back in 2017 when they decided that their newsfeed was no longer going to be organized chronologically. Instead, there was going to be an algorithm that would order the posts for people and improve the Instagram experience, I guess, or show the posts that you needed to see or that you wanted to see. And I'm sure sometimes it does work well, but I'm also sure that the goal of the algorithm is to keep people on Instagram, to make sure that Instagram is always making money. I'm not saying algorithms are 100% bad. I mean, sometimes they're the only logical solution that you have when you're dealing with large data sets, so I get it. And many times they can come up with good recommendations, like if you look at Netflix or YouTube, sometimes recommendations are good and improve the experience. But when it comes to something like Instagram isn't Netflix or YouTube where you're trying to sit down and you're relaxed and you're trying to spend a lot of time on a piece of content. Instagram is like bite-sized, quick content, get through it quick. In that case, I don't know how I feel about an algorithm that is just going to show me just enough content for me to keep scrolling. Back in my day, all the social medias were different. You got in, you did your thing, you got out. Nowadays, everything seems like it's trying to be the same thing. And the thing they're trying to be is just the app that you live on. Like they want you to document your morning, your noon, your night. They want, what you have for breakfast, all of your meals, your whole life, what you sleep, and just everything. They want it on the platform. Just post it all. I don't know about that incentive. I don't know if that's what people need to do. And as an influencer, I don't know if that's what I want to influence people to do more of, just spending more time on social media. I don't know if that's a good thing. In the case of Vine, and I like Vine, I think I'm biased toward Vine, but Vine was 6 seconds long. 6-second video, you can watch a bunch of them, and it's not gonna take up all of your day. But when Instagram video came out, it was 15 seconds long. It's like twice as long as a Vine. It felt like ages to me. I was like, is this necessary? Then another Instagram update came out and you could post up to a minute long. And I was like, geez. Then there was the story feature that they took from Snapchat, and they wanted people to use the story feature. And then they added live streaming, and then they wanted people to live stream, and they would boost the live streams in the algorithm. Maybe I'm just old school, maybe I'm just an introvert, but I wasn't sure about a lot of the changes that Instagram made that, happened on a lot of social media platforms at the time. A lot of changes happened to Vine, a lot of changes happened to Twitter, everywhere. I like that more capability and more freedom was getting added to the app. I like it when creators get access to more tools in order to make things. But at the same time, I knew that if I wanted to use those new features, it would just take more time and more effort than I was already putting into making videos. And if I were to make more videos, I would have to come up with more concepts. And if I didn't come up with concepts for those videos, like a script, if it was unscripted, like a vlog or whatever, then I'm just giving up, part of my life. And then how do I want to share that? Do I want to put all of my life on social media? Surely I don't want to just live stream all day. That's not what it's about. So I hesitated, I wasn't even sure what Instagram was even trying to be at that point, it started out as a photo gallery. I never thought that I would be able to just go live face to face with everybody who was online on the same app. This was around the same time that Vine got shut down. So there was a lot of rethinking and a lot of restructuring going on in the social media space. Vine failed because it didn't make enough money for Twitter. It wasn't profitable enough. So similar platforms existing after it had to, position themselves and make sure that they would avoid that same fate. They restructured themselves, or would, initially structure themselves to preserve themselves into the future, to steel themselves against the shocks of the market. They tightened their priorities. They just laser focused in on user acquisition, on user engagement, on advertising friendly content. They incentivize their users to post as much as possible, as often as possible, and that's where we live now. YouTube made a few pivots. There was a switch in the algorithm toward preferring longer videos over shorter videos. If a video is longer than 10 minutes, you can put 2 ads on it instead of 1. You can beef up watch time, and that's what it's all about, watch time. There was a lot of fallout about what people call the adpocalypse. YouTube wanted to appear more attractive to advertisers who complained about their ads being run on, iffy videos, questionable videos, and YouTube cracked down on that. As a result, they ended up demonetizing a lot of content from big channels. A lot of career YouTubers who spent a lot of years building up a following and building up an audience. A lot of those people didn't hold up to the new standard that the algorithm set for advertiser-friendly content. The algorithm also changed to recommend new videos over old videos, or fresh videos over historical legacy videos, and that's going to benefit like news channels or anybody who can crank content out on like a 24-hour cycle. And if you can't do that, if you can't keep up with that 24-hour schedule, you can lose out on a lot of views and a lot of engagement and a lot of revenue. Let's say if you post like once a month or once every couple of weeks, you can lose out on a lot just because the algorithm doesn't think you're posting often enough. As a result of a lot of these changes, many people lost their business models. We've entered an age where you don't necessarily post for your followers anymore. You post for the algorithm, and the algorithm is working in the interest of the platform. The algorithm decides if your content is good enough to show people, and if it is, it'll get your followers for you. And the audience trusts the algorithm because, either they've made a habit of it or because they're given no other choice. It's not a complete condemnation. Social media still functions. I still like social media for what it can do. The platforms are free to use. After all, there's not really much you can say about how they run. I get it. But if you're a professional online creator, you can't really rely on these platforms that much. You usually have to do sponsorships next to your content or some kind of crowdfunding or merchandise, because platforms usually don't pay creators that much. They tend to, look out for their own profits. I started this video saying that social media isn't cool anymore. And if you're a young person, that might be an irrelevant statement. To you, social media is cool. It's always cool. It's cool because you're on it, because your friends are on it. It's because that's where things are happening. That's where the attention is. The numbers speak for themselves. The engagement, the culture speaks for itself. You don't have to say it. Social media is run by young people, and this is generally speaking. I'm not saying that every young person is in love with social media or lives their life through social media, but social media is run primarily by young people. Young people are the ones who drive the trends and drive popular culture. If you're older, you care less about where pop culture is leaning. You don't care about hits, you don't care about clout, likes, fame, at least not as much. If you're a mature adult, you care about having money, you care about having skills, taking care of your family, owning assets, having peace and quiet, sleep, data security. Social media doesn't provide a lot of those things. If you're older, you might care about social media if you use it as a part of your work, which in case you look at social media as a marketplace from a business perspective. You might care about social media in regards to staying updated on certain topics like sports or like stocks. Other than that, you probably just use it to keep in contact with close friends, close family. It's probably not, the center of your life. If you're an adult, social media is cool sometimes. Anytime there's a funny event or a catchy face filter or a cat video you like, stuff like that. Other than those times, social media is a mess. It's the place where people swallow Tide Pods and do cinnamon challenges and fake pranks. It's where people argue all day long about politics and get in their own echo chambers and conspiracy theory. It's the place where verified accounts tweet stupid things. I have a verified account. I'm guilty of that. If you're an adult, social media is the place where we're horrified by the things that scare us, by the things that offend us, by the things that show us the world as it is in all of its disturbing context, where we see world catastrophes and natural disasters unfolding in real time, whether it's an explosion on a dock or police, brutalizing people in the streets. With a few exceptions, if you're a grown adult, there's so many more things that you can do with your time that are more meaningful, more productive, more healthy than living your life through social media. Let's talk about internet fame. First, in relation to me. When I first started gaining followers on social media, it wasn't just because I wanted people to know who I was. It wasn't just about my personality. I wanted to share the things that I was doing. I wanted to share the ideas that I had, the edits that I made, that I created. Different people have different motivations. Some people just want to be a celebrity, full stop. Some people just want to be an influencer, personality, full stop. Some people are trolls and they just want to get a rise out of people no matter what it is. Some people don't know their own motivations fully, so that takes some self-reflection sometimes. It's important to understand why it is that you want attention on social media and what you want to do with it. I've given that a lot of thought myself personally, like my motivations. I grew a following because I saw freedom in it, potentially, the freedom to create my own world and to make my own decisions based on those terms. Freedom to showcase talents and to share ideas without a filter, to connect with people across the world and even potentially across time periods and create a community of like-minded people that can congregate around one thing they think is cool. I did want to increase my level of influence. I did want people to know who I was. Because people treat you better if they look up to you or if they know who you are. But if people looked up to me, I didn't want it to be for no reason. I wanted to deserve the accolades that I received. I didn't want to scam anybody. And if I got any power or, clout because of that, I wanted to shoulder that responsibly also, which puts the responsibility on me to develop myself personally and to know what I'm talking about and to level up, in my personal life. People call me an influencer and I don't take that lightly because it's a privileged position to be in. And, if you climb up that ladder, people can knock that ladder down. I try to influence people to be curious, to be resourceful. It was those two traits that allowed me to become the person I am today, being daring enough to dream something different and savvy enough to use the tools at your disposal to make that happen. Through making content on social media, I learned how to shoot and edit videos, and I gained a following, and I was able to make enough money in order to pay off student loans. And I think that a lot of people can do similar things. And you don't have to do what I do. You don't have to be in front of the camera. You don't even have to go outside. There's a lot of people staying in nowadays. There's a famous independent filmmaker by the name of Penny Lane, and one of the things that she does is she lends her influence to teach others how to make their own films, even with just found footage. She's got a course called Filmmaking at Home, and it's on Skillshare, the proud sponsor of this video. Skillshare is an online learning community that is a little more productive and inspired than your run-of-the-mill social media platform. It's where creative and curious people can go to learn new skills. There's a lot of instructors on the site that are well-known professionals, well-known artists, a lot of YouTubers that you might recognize. Skillshare has courses on music, on animation, marketing, finance, web development, film and video. Each course is highly produced and highly structured step by step. There's a community of learners in each course that can encourage each other and inspire each other. In the course by Penny Lane, she breaks her whole process down and instructs people on how to develop their own editing style, own editing process. She shows people how to develop a story, how to fully harness the power of the footage that you have. It's cool stuff. And it's just scratching the surface. Like, there's thousands of other courses that Skillshare has that you can check out. Skillshare is giving away 2 free premium membership months to the first 1,000 people that click the link in the description below and set up an account. Once again, you can access thousands of inspiring courses for free for 2 months on Skillshare. After that, it's around maybe $10 a month, I think. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and for helping me use my influence to hopefully make the world a little bit of a smarter place. Speaking of influence, human beings are influence-seeking creatures by design, and social media companies know this. We have a natural instinct to seek out each other, form groups and communities. We also have a natural instinct to want to be popular in those groups and communities. If you're popular in the group, then the group is going to want to protect you in the case of a crisis. Popularity is advantageous for your survival. It's caveman logic, tried and true. Social media takes advantage of this ancient logic in our brains. We want to be liked, we want to be validated, and social media provides an outlet. We have an opportunity to seek that validation in virtual spaces, not just our in real life environments. We also want to be close to high status individuals, high status people. That's also in our DNA, and social media companies know this too. There was a study done in rhesus monkeys where they found out that rhesus monkeys will accept a small treat just so they can look at a picture of a high status monkey in their community, rather than take a large treat but then look at a picture of somebody low status. Like, it's that deep. So we naturally seek esteem and acclaim in our communities, either for ourselves or by association. We want to be next to these people. In the real world, that usually leads to positive social effects. It's a good thing overall. A sports player gets esteem by helping out his team, helping his team win the game. A parent gets esteem by providing for their child. That's how it works. If you're online, though, the equation can get a little more complicated. If it boosts your self-esteem to get likes, what's going to happen if you don't get likes? How much out of your way are you going to go in order to get those likes? If it boosts your self-esteem to get positive comments, then what's going to happen to you if people start saying hateful things to you instead? Online, it's possible to get attention and clout from people all over the world, with no regard to your real world environment. It's democratized, it's modern, it's cool, but there are downsides. Sometimes the people giving you respect and attention online can be enabling you to act in ways that are destructive to the people around you or to yourself. There's the trope of the narcissistic influencer that movies and TV have caught up with nowadays. The person who is so into themselves and their social media life that they ignore the thoughts and feelings of everyone around them. If you focus only on your social media following and your metrics and your numbers, you can easily turn into that person. If you care only about monetizing your audience instead of serving them and listening to what they want or they need, then you can get into trouble too. I've read so many stories and seen movies about characters that are fictional and non-fictional who've risen to power and fame, and it gets complicated. I've seen egos, I've seen drama, I've seen breakdowns. Social media only incentivizes likes and engagement and profitability. It doesn't care about your sanity, it doesn't care about your feelings, it doesn't care if you're a balanced individual, it doesn't care about your personal development. I've seen social media reward destructive behaviors that people didn't become aware of until it was too late. I've seen people make millions on social media online, only to come back and realize that the combination of early fame and success, ended up stunting their social development as an adult. Like, that happens too. I've seen people lose themselves and turn on loved ones, over the money and power that sometimes comes along with social media influence. In 2016, there was a tragic shooting of a woman at a meet and greet. She was Christina Grimmie. She was a YouTuber and singer-songwriter and a finalist on The Voice. She was killed by an obsessed fan or a stalker. Social media means that anybody can get famous, but fame has consequences sometimes. It's unpredictable. It hits some people harder than it hits others, I've been very aware for a long time, trying to avoid the aspects of social media that could get me into trouble or could give me the wrong incentives or could cause me to burn out or put me in danger. You don't know. I think I handle it pretty well, but there's a lot of things that I don't know. There's a lot of things that I can't know, like how I may be affected psychologically. Becoming a public figure or building a following with thousands of followers just comes with a lot of baggage that many people just aren't prepared for. And if it happens to you when you're young, you can't prepare for it sometimes. So you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna stress yourself out, and you might self-destruct if you're not careful. Success isn't the end of the story either. You might get a lot of followers for doing one thing, but what happens if you stop enjoying that? You have to think long-term about the consequences of what you're doing. How are you building your following? How are you aligning your own incentives? How much of your life do you want to share, and how much do you want to keep to yourself? If you're a young, hot social media star and you plan on taking over the world, I'm sure you have a lot of ambition and tenacity, but you also need finesse and self-awareness. If you go through a sudden meteoric rise on the internet and all of a sudden you've got millions of followers, you have to stay focused as well. When you're famous, you have to move differently than you did when you were anonymous. You have to understand the gravity of your influence, but not let the pressure weigh you down. Becoming a social media star is like a marathon, and it's like a balancing act too. If you ride the horse too slow, you're gonna freeze up, you're gonna second guess yourself, you're gonna shut down. But if you ride the horse too fast, you might burn yourself out, you might get canceled, you might post a vlog in a suicide forest because you lack the self-awareness not to. I've been talking a lot, but my main point is that internet fame isn't exactly what people think it is from the outside. It's one of the main reasons that young people think social media is so cool. One of the reasons. A lot of kids want to grow up and be YouTubers or TikTok stars, and I get that. I definitely enjoy it personally. But it's not all candy and flowers and fans and riches. Not every story has a happy ending. If you ask me if you should casually use social media, I would say sure. Just don't get stuck arguing with people back and forth. Waste of time. If you were to ask me if I think you should rack up millions of followers on social media and quit your job, I would have a different response for you. First of all, I would say that doesn't happen to most people. Even if you're extremely talented, extremely attractive, there's still luck involved there. So it's not guaranteed. Secondly, social media fame can vanish pretty much overnight, it's really fleeting like that. It's one thing to go viral one time, and it's a completely different thing to keep everybody's attention long term, for months, for years. You got to think even decades ahead sometimes, like what's going to happen then? Who are you going to be? Who is everybody else going to be when they get wrinkles, when they get older, when they change? I would wonder, how realistic are you about your roadmap and your ability step by step to make a career off the internet? Like, what's your plan? If you want to be famous, how famous? And for doing what? You know, if you want to be rich, how rich? What can you provide that's going to distinguish you from the rest of the crowd? What are your talents? What is your strategy? What is your long-term ambition? Are you a natural operator? Do you have a team behind you? Managing a social media empire is about metrics. It's about scheduling. It's about meetings. It's about collaborations. Are you a people person? Are you an extrovert? Do you like working alone? How do you take criticism? Pretty much there's a lot of qualifiers I would go through with you before giving you my answer to your question. Sometimes people don't really want what they think they want. A lot of people are smart enough to see that you don't need to be famous to be successful or to make a bunch of money through social media. If you have 2,000 followers and every single one of those followers gives you $500, then you're a millionaire. So it doesn't take a lot of people. It just matters how deeply you're connecting with the people that you're connected with. If you're just starting out, it might make more sense to just make a company page around the business that you're doing instead of making an influencer page. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would rather have 2,000 super fans than 100,000 ghost fans, clients over followers. Let me zoom out again though, because I have more than just my personal and industry reasons why social media isn't cool anymore. A lot of it is the fact that social media is just too big now, like too much. It's too real, too serious. It's too impactful in our everyday lives now. Like, it's not funny anymore. I remember a time where Twitter was where you went to escape from real life, but now it seems like you go to real life to escape Twitter. Nowadays, you're holding your breath to see if the president is going to tweet something about shooting people again, or, you know, if there's going to be another Twitter Bitcoin hack. Facebook has gotten in trouble for mishandling people's data on multiple occasions. They've got in trouble for spreading around conspiracy theories or conspiracy content. They've got in trouble for, interfering in elections. YouTube has gotten in trouble for showing weird, creepy videos to kids because the algorithm sent them there. These platforms have millions of users, sometimes billions, so that's like larger than the populations of countries, of some continents, like this government level power that these platforms have. They sometimes get called out by the government when they do things wrong. There's been tech antitrust hearings where CEOs have had to answer questions from Congress people, and some of them have asked better questions than others. Multiple platforms have been accused of silencing and deplatforming people who are too far left or too far right. There's concerns about data harvesting. They say that Facebook and Google's algorithms know you better than your family, know you better than your mom, your spouse. What are the implications of that? What's that going to do in the future? What has it already done? We don't know. TikTok has over 1 billion users and is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company, and that's been controversial. People have voiced concerns about how risky it could be for a Chinese company to have all kinds of data and metadata on American citizens. What happens if the Chinese government wants to look at that data? How secure is that? The president threatened to ban TikTok, and I think he might have told companies to stop doing business with TikTok. I don't know what's going to happen with all that stuff. Overall, it seems pretty clear that social media is just too far-reaching and too powerful and too politicized to be the relatively innocent and fun thing that it originally might have tried to be. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave me? I guess just waiting to see what happens. And I do want to stress again that I am so thankful for just all of the ways that I have benefited from social media. Like, this whole video was a critique of social media, but I have really, really benefited from social media. So I don't want to, count that out. I've been lucky to meet incredible people through these platforms, like lifelong friends. I've learned, I've been inspired, I've laughed hard on these platforms. Overall, I think they still make the world a better place. I wouldn't get rid of them. Of course, not everything is perfect. There are valid reasons not to participate. Some people choose to keep their socials private, just for friends and family. I understand why. Not everybody wants attention like that. I've gone in the complete opposite direction. I benefit greatly from attention like that. And I do want attention. Whenever I do something that I want to show people, or whenever I say something that I think is important. Having a public personal page, running a YouTube channel, making videos is not for everybody. But for me, there's a lot of enjoyment in being able to pave your own path, do your own thing, grow your own garden, that type of thing. I like crafting, I like creating, I like jumping into a puzzle or project. I like the hands-on learning process. The reason I learned how to work with video and audio was through posting on Instagram and Vine. Was through that iterative process. I've met digital creators who are like me, who've been able to pivot their social media following into directing or acting or editing, And so there's a lot of opportunity in social media. There's a lot of things to learn from, a lot of lessons in social media, and I like it for those things. I like social media for all the good things it provides, the jokes, the current events, keeping up with people, the feedback on my videos that, encourages me to keep going. But I can't love social media as a whole because it's problematic. It's not entirely good for your life, for your mental health, for your productivity, for your character as a person. Some people can find a balance and make it work pretty well, though. I know that was a lot, but as you watched up to this point, I want to know, what do you think about social media? Do you agree with some of the points I made? How do you feel? I'll definitely be checking out the discussion below. This is a topic that I completely revolve around in a lot of ways. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will always value your attention, and see you next time. Take it easy.